What up, everybody? Today on AI Roundup, we're going to be talking about AI used for alien invasions, translating ancient Mesopotamian cuneiform tablets, and even redefining the Turing test. What up, everybody? I'm Phil Buck, back again for another round of AI Roundup. I'm excited. We got a bunch of stories we're going to dive right into, but before we do that, I want to tell you about some other things happening on the MSP Media Network. On Thursday at 1 p.m., we've got another round of the Pitch It Vendor Spotlight featuring Simoda and Phalanx. And also on Thursday, later in the day at 6:30 p.m., we have the Tech Bar podcast coming back at you with special guest Ricky Cicchini. And as always, on Tuesdays and Fridays, make sure to check out the MSP Dispatch, which I produce and edit. So you can't miss that one. Anyway, we got a bunch of great stories for today. So let's jump right into our actual impact stories. All right, first up from Gizmodo by James Whitbrook, Marvel's Secret Invasion uses AI for its opening credits. The new Marvel series Secret Invasion on Disney Plus uses AI-generated art for its opening title sequence, which was developed by Method Studios. This approach, intended to create a surreal atmosphere, is one of the first instances of AI-generated art being used in a major show. However, there are concerns in the industry about AI in creative processes such as job displacement for human artists and ethical issues around crediting. The extent and specifics of how AI was used in the series remain unclear, and this development marks a significant step for AI in the entertainment industry, which is viewed by some as a risky territory. Okay, so I've looked at the opening credits. I've done a little research. There's even been some follow-up to this story that Method Studios says that no artist jobs were lost by using AI to create this opening credits. And I think that's a great point that we go back to on the show a lot. It's not that AI is going to replace your job. It's that somebody using AI is probably going to replace your job. Anyway, looking at the credits, it does appear that it's probably using some combination of Stable Diffusion, ControlNet, Deforum, all those extensions that you can use with Stable Diffusion to create these animations. That's just a very educated guess. I don't know for sure, but reading some of the forums and groups that I'm in, that seemed to be the consensus as well. So knowing that, probably one of the biggest problems is Stable Diffusion models are often trained on a lot of stuff that, they didn't get the consent of the artists. And so there is definitely the question of, plagiarism with this approach. I encourage it and I like it, but I think it's one of those things that we are going to continue to unpack. Moving right along, though. From Heritage Daily by Marcus Milligan, archaeologists use artificial intelligence to translate 5,000-year-old cuneiform tablets. A team of archaeologists and computer scientists developed an AI program using neural machine learning to instantly translate ancient cuneiform tablets of the Akkadian language with high accuracy, as published in the journal PNSA Nexus. The AI program aims to aid scholars and students in translating the large number of ancient Mesopotamian tablets and is currently available through an online notebook with its source code on GitHub, and an online application called the Babylonian Engine is being developed. So I think this is crazy. I mean, from all my history going through school, it always seemed like these tablets were such a huge task to tackle translating them, not only because of the difficulty, but also because of the large number of them. It seems like this is something that AI is exquisitely suited to take a large number of, essentially language-based tasks and translate it for us. I'm super curious what secrets we might unlock from these tablets. Maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe it's just a day in the life of an ancient Mesopotamian, but we don't know until we translate it. So I guess we have AI to thank for that. And our last actual impact story for today from technologyreview.com by Rhiannon Williams. The people paid to train AI are outsourcing their work to AI. A study by researchers from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology found that 33 to 46% of gig workers hired through Amazon Mechanical Turk may be using AI models like OpenAI's ChatGPT to complete tasks like summarizing texts. The researchers caution that using AI-generated data for training AI systems can introduce and amplify errors and call for new methods to verify if the data has been produced by humans or AI. They emphasize the importance of understanding which tasks are most likely to be automated and finding ways to mitigate potential issues. Now, we've actually talked about this on a previous episode, and I think this phenomenon is known as model collapse. And also at the same time, if you've ever worked for Amazon Mechanical Turk, you'll know that it's an extremely tedious undertaking. And the fact that the people are doing these Mechanical Turk tasks for the purpose of training AI, it just opens the gate to, of course, why wouldn't they want to go use AI for this purpose? Now, the people taking these tasks on, maybe they don't know anything about AI and they don't understand what the consequences of training AI data into the model that you're training. But yeah, this is a huge concern, and I think it's one of the biggest things that is left, untackled as far as the problems with AI. Garbage in, garbage out. We're actually going to be talking about that a little later in the show on another story. But yeah, the quality of the input is essential for these things to work. And if we have unsupervised people using AI data to plug it into the next AI model, then that's a huge concern. So hopefully they will find some way to regulate this, but I have no idea how you do that. I do think that human feedback is extremely essential to the process here. And with that being said, why don't we go ahead and jump into some big picture stories? In a story by Ophelia Anwa, AI is now the biggest spend for 50% of top tech executives across the economy from a CNBC survey. According to a CNBC survey, 47% of top technology officers across various industries indicated that artificial intelligence is their primary budget priority for the next year. While just under half of the executives believe the AI, including generative AI, will create more jobs than it eliminates, others are less optimistic. AI investment is accelerating despite concerns about cost cutting and the rise in interest rates affecting overall spending. Applications range from customer relationship management to cybersecurity and drug discovery, with AI being seen as a tool to boost efficiency and innovation. And this leads right into something we've been talking about for a couple episodes now, this AI boom, maybe an AI bubble. Obviously, this is definitely feeding into that. And it's really yet to be seen where the value is going to come out in the wash from all this. I do think it's fascinating to see that so many executives are really willing to spend almost 50% of their budget on AI. I'm skeptical but excited about it, and I'm curious to see where it goes. If you're investing in AI in your companies, sound off in the MMN Discord. Let us know where you're putting that budget for AI resources. And speaking of investing resources, next up from Business Insider by Sadal Bayami. DeepMind's co-founder suggested testing an AI chatbot's ability to turn $100,000 into $1 million to measure human-like intelligence. Mustafa Suleyman, co-founder of DeepMind, suggests in his new book that the traditional Turing test is outdated for assessing AI intelligence. He proposes a modern alternative where AI chatbots should demonstrate artificial capable intelligence by turning $100,000 into $1 million through researching an e-commerce business idea, developing a product plan, finding a manufacturer, and selling the item. Suleiman emphasizes the importance of evaluating what AI can achieve practically, not just what it can stimulate in conversation. Okay, so I think this is fascinating. We're basically getting the tech bro answer to the Turing test here. It's no longer a question of, can the robot fool me into thinking it's a human, but can the AI robot run a pyramid scheme or an entrepreneur side hustle? Obviously, I'm being a little bit comedic here. I'm jesting, but I do think this is kind of weird. Basically, we're just deciding that, hey, the intelligence aspect of artificial intelligence doesn't necessarily need to perform like a human. It just needs to perform like the ultimate capitalist. Can it make us money? I'm not sure what I see in the value here. I mean, at some point, is not the pursuit of those things kind of just at the heart of what we're trying to do as humans? Like, why do we want to totally outsource this to a robot? At what point does profit and capital just become meaningless if you can just program in and push a button and come back and your bank account is full? Maybe I'm getting I'm waxing philosophical a bit too much here for all the people that don't have $100,000 or $1 million are looking at me going, what the hell are you talking about? Fair enough. But, I find this approach to be quite reductive. But hey, I didn't have found DeepMind, so maybe I need to spend a little time on my own side hustle. We'll see. All right, in our final big picture story from CNBC by Ryan Brown and Mackenzie Sigalos, AI has a discrimination problem. And in banking, the consequences can be severe. Artificial intelligence systems in banking and financial services are at a risk of amplifying existing human biases, especially against marginalized communities. This is because AI systems are often trained with incomplete or unrepresentative data sets, and biases within development teams can further perpetuate this cycle. Experts such as Raman Chowdhury and former Twitter executive Nabil Manji from WordPay by FIS highlight the importance of understanding that AI's effectiveness is highly dependent on the quality and diversity of data it is trained on. There are calls for more transparency, accountability, and global regulatory measures to address the risks surrounding AI biases in financial services. Okay, so this is a big one, and it's something we've kind of touched on in the past, but definitely early on in this episode. If the data going into an AI model contains biases or discriminatory data, well then, of course, the model is going to act on those things when it's making decisions or sorting through data to make decisions for people. So this is highly problematic. It calls back to some of the issues that we have ethically with, the AI image generating things, is that the training models, they're not being done in an ethical way. And there's not really been solutions to solve for this. In fact, we're seeing, like we saw earlier in this show, the outsourcing of the training of these models. So there's a high likelihood that these things could get worse if that's the case. Personally, I don't have a solution other than to say that we really need to keep these models at arm's length to put them in these situations where they can make these decisions about people's lives. Like, can they get a loan for a house? Or, we even talked about government benefits. Can people get food stamps based on what an AI determines? That seems dystopian to me, but it does seem closer than I think we ever would have imagined even just a year ago. So I think it's super important to talk about this. And if you know that these things are happening in an organization where you're affiliated with, or maybe you work with, definitely pipe in and say, hey, the efficiency of this model probably needs to be tested, publicly before we put it into work privately behind the scenes. I always like to play the optimist when it comes to AI. I think it's exciting stuff, and it's powerful, and it has, the power to change our lives, but it could be for worse if these problems aren't taken seriously at this point. All right, let's back it up. Let's zoom out a little bit. And I mean that literally. We've been a little bit too much on the doom and gloom here, but it's time to talk about my favorite part of the show and one of my favorite AI tools. In the use case, we're going to be playing with Midjourney 5.2 and the new Zoom Out tool. From thedecoder.com by Matthias Bastian, Midjourney 5.2 brings zoom out and integrated prompt analysis. Midjourney 5.2 introduces a new feature called Zoom Out, which allows the AI to enlarge images it has created, similar to what's known as outpainting in other image generators. This update also includes an aesthetic system for sharper images, improved text understanding for better image-to-text matching, and a high variation mode that offers a wider variety of image suggestions. Additionally, it incorporates the /shorten command to optimize prompts by identifying words that may not impact the outcome. The update is available as a test version and enabled by default. All right, so as always, I love to play with these things just to see what they can do. So of course I jumped into Midjourney to see what I could create. I played around with a prompt that was inspired by some stuff I found on a Facebook group. It's a African-American Spider Woman, inspired by kids' toys, bright colors, and shot by Emily Blinko. I didn't really know what to expect because, again, I borrowed some of these ideas for this prompt from a group, but I was pleasantly surprised by the output. And from there, I just kept hitting the zoom out button. I tried it. There's two default settings. There's zoom out 1.5 and then zoom out by 2. I found the option to zoom out by 2 is more interesting, but maybe that was just because I was in a hurry. If you zoom out by 1.5, obviously the shot doesn't go out quite as wide, and the detail that you get from one to the next is probably going to be a little more defined. I think this is a fun feature. I think it also just kind of reveals again how Midjourney is so different than any of these image generating engines because its user interface is all based through Discord. So I've kind of alluded to it before on the show that, that Midjourney has teased the idea that they'll eventually have a web app or something that you can use. And I think that's going to be a huge game changer when they finally reach that point. I think right now, having to filter all of their tools through a Discord bot is super limiting. But the images Midjourney can generate by whatever they've done to train their model is really a standout compared to most models I've seen from Stable Diffusion and Adobe's Firefly. So this is a big deal. If you're looking behind me, I took all the images that I got and I just kind of stacked them up so I could do like a slow zoom out video so you can get an idea of what that looks like. But I think it was a total of maybe 7 images. There's a bunch of other features that I haven't really tested out. So if you're a big Midjourney person, by all means, please jump in the MMM Discord. We have the Midjourney bot in there so we can play around with it together in the AI Roundup channel. But, let me know if you've got some tips and tricks. If you're a pro with Midjourney, let me know how these new features are treating you. I'm super curious about this one about shortening of prompts because, when they introduced the describe feature, that's where you take an image and let it give you a prompt, basically reverse engineering the image. It turned out that whole feature is kind of based on a whole different technology. It's not really taking the whatever, Midjourney does to generate images and reversing it. It's just like a whole nother bot that's doing it. So I was kind of disappointed with that feature, and I'm curious to see if the shorten command is kind of the same nature, that it's based on a different bot as well. All right, everybody, that's it for your June 28th episode of AI Roundup. I'm your host, Phil Buck. Like I said before, make sure to join us in the MMN Discord. I'd love to hang out and talk with you more there. Make sure you follow us on social media everywhere at MSP Media TV. And if you'd like to send any questions that we can answer on the show, send us an email, news@mspmedia.tv, or you can leave us a voicemail, 833-MSP-Network. All right, everybody, I am going to go dig up some more AI stories, or if I'm being honest, I might just go play around on Midjourney and make some more Spider-Woman images. Anyway, until this time next week, make sure you join me Wednesdays at 10 a.m. for another episode of AI Roundup. And until then, take care of yourselves. I'll see you later.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.